Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Quantum Break hard difficulty video walkthrough. This is Act 1, Part 2, the Campus Escape. We just picked up a Glock and we're going to be finally using it, Part 2 of the game, the first act that is, and we finally get introduced to the combat. So, a little bit of exposition here between the brothers as we go through this doorway, and there's going to be a little bit of more exposition as we avoid what's happening at this particular moment. The gunplay in this game is interesting. I originally didn't much like it. I think that there is a lot of recoil, which makes a lot of the guns not as fun to use as they perhaps should be. Some enemies take a lot of bullets, and the combination of high recoil, higher accuracy requirements, and enemies that can take some hits, all kind of added together to make something that I just didn't think was as great as it could be third-person shooter-wise for my own personal tastes. But the more I played the game, the more I realised that the guns aren't really the centre stage here, it's the time powers, and when you realise that the guns are merely something that supports using your abilities, I think it can be easier to be much more lenient with them. But the first thing you will notice when you play is that the aiming is kind of tricky on this game, and I don't know if it's because I'm used to the PlayStation 4 controller and coming back, you know, the dead zones and everything. I don't think it is that, because I generally pick it back up quite quickly, but on high sensitivity, which is something I do on every game I play, to try and just be as quick as possible once I've got, you know, used to it and I've got the reflex there and the muscle memory and everything. On this game, I found it really difficult to do micro adjustments. And there are a few things that exacerbated it. The first one is the game has an incredibly aggressive auto-aim. The aim assist on this game is ridiculous, but it's useful. It hinders you in a few ways, which I'll explain. You might see it in this moment. I try and shoot the explosive behind... Oh no, I'm just going to murder that guy. But did you see the reticle bloom of just how inaccurate it's going to be? The thing I shot then I don't think is actually explosive. You see that? I'm trying to aim at the explosive, and that's where it's moving my reticle. It moved it a good, what was that, like a meter in that distance? A ridiculous amount of distance. All the computer doing it, putting me on target to make sure that I'm as effective as possible, which is a great thing. But when you're trying to shoot an explosive on the floor, and it automatically goes to a dude, it makes it really difficult, and you can get damaged and indeed die by trying to drag your aim away, because the gravitational resistance from the auto-aim is something that can be very tricky to fight. And there are two instances where it will come up and hurt you potentially. The first one is what you witnessed. Tried to shoot the thing, couldn't get it off the dude. The game was helping me, but it was also hurting what I wanted to do. The second encounter is whenever you dash towards somebody and you stun them, you can aim your gun to go into focus mode, and then from there you can shoot them in the face and you can get a really effective kill. The auto-aim is so strict at putting it on center mass that by the time you've fought the aim, you will overshoot their face and they'll recover out of slow motion before you've had a chance to shoot them. There's going to be a few instances of this later on, and what I actually did to experiment is I turned it off. There's only two settings, which baffles my mind completely. There is full aim assist, and then there's none. There's no middle ground. There's no soft aim assist where it's not as ridiculous unless you put it on people and it kind of keeps you there. It's just all or nothing at all. And I do fervently believe that the difficulty should have potentially turned it off completely, or if I'd have turned it off when I first started playing, I would have got used to it, and that's how I would have played. As I jump around now, showing you the kind of awkward jump, which I think is hilarious. I think if I'd have done that, I would have had no issue with it, and I would have never noticed, and we would not be having this conversation. But the fact I did mess with it, and you're going to witness me mess with it, proves that it really is a powerful force in this game. And if you're one of those people that doesn't think that auto-aim does anything, you really need to look into the differences. If you've ever played a PC shooter that doesn't have it, and then come back to a console that does have it, you will understand just how powerful auto-aim is. And the reason is simple. Using analog sticks to aim is nowhere near as precise as the mouse. That doesn't mean you can't get incredibly good and quick at it. You can get good at anything. It's just, it is not as intuitive or as easy to be as quick and as swift and as precise. So what they do, the developers, because this has been an ongoing issue for many years, is they give you a little help. Even on PC gamings with mouse and keyboard, there are instances where they give you a little help as well. But you can go into competitive multiplayers on PC where it's all gone and it's 100% you. And it breeds this divide It's almost like a class system between people saying that consoles are for children and for bad players who need auto-aim because they can't aim properly, and then people on PC who don't have it, and all that kind of argument that you hear on the internet. But the point I'm trying to make, guys, is this game has a very strong auto-aim. Try both. Try it off, try it on. See which one works best for you. I try it off for half a level and then I turn it back on because I felt like the pros outweighed the cons. But I wanted to explain that because we're talking about how the gunplay feels. So the second thing you need to know. There's quite a lot of guns on this game, but I only think one of them is good. And that might seem kind of ridiculous to you. It is ridiculous, because they're all good in theory, but only one of them feels good, in my opinion, and that is the Sniper semi-automatic rifle. This is a gun that can kill people in about 2 bullets if you hit them center mass, usually 1 bullet if you hit the head, and it shoots where you put the goddamn reticle. It feels great. If every gun shot like that, I would like this game way more than I do, but they don't. A lot of them have a lot of spray, a lot of wide reticle, and questionable ammunition clips. When you run out of ammo in Quantum Break, the game will often change your weapon instead of reloading because it's faster, so you end up going to a weapon you might not necessarily want to use, which is an interesting mechanic to use, and it's effective, but at times it can get in the way of what you're trying to do, so you need to be aware that it does that. Additionally, there are these blue ammunition bags all over the place. When you hold X and pick them up, they will fill every weapon without you needing to manually reload the clips and things. They'll all automatically get reloaded for you. It's a really nice touch. It means you don't have to mess around making sure that you reload and then pick up ammo afterwards. It's always a great way of min-maxing, but here is the first real encounter of the game. We're going to be using the time vision, which sends out a ripple of effect and highlights people in red. It is an upgrade that can be taken 2 stages further from the initial point, where it gets even better and even wider and even longer, but I'm not going to be upgrading it in this run, I don't think. On my first test run of this game on hard, to see how challenging it was and to see what was going on, I upgraded 2 powers once. I upgraded the freeze ability and I upgraded the evade ability, and that was it. Once I realised that hard is quite easy, I didn't bother with upgrades, and I beat the game comfortably, having died around 4 times, and 2 of which was to falls and traps that happen with the gravity, which tells you Quantum Break is not very challenging. And I need to put a little footnote to this, as we are given the time stop ability, which is by tapping the bumper you will freeze people, and it allows you to stack bullets, which stacks an amazing amount of damage really quickly, which is useful against heavier enemies. It's also useful against stopping people so that you can hit them with weapons that have a wide degree of inaccuracy. Just look at the reticle bloom when I try and shoot these people. They really want you to either feather the trigger and get those, single shots, or they want you to use the time freeze and then stack bullets on people. And I really do think they've designed it towards stacking bullets, which is why just how inaccurate these guns are, and with all this recoil, it makes them work, it makes them function. But aiming for the head can still work, and using this cover trick that I'm doing right now can also still work. You can play this game incredibly defensively by using a piece of cover to full advantage and using your powers to stop people trying to flank you, and you will have almost no issue with any situation in this game. I would go as far as saying, if I played that way, I could no damage this entire game. I was tempted to do it, but at the same time, I don't think I would be showing you what the game is about, because to me, I think they want you to be aggressive. I think the point of this is less about hugging a wall and more about kicking ass. And it might be a hindrance, it might be dangerous, but what I'm going to try and achieve in this walkthrough, if I can, is to give you good ideas for strategies and ways that work the best, and then I think the gameplay is going to be slightly more aggressive to show you what is possible once you start using the abilities and once you start getting the confidence in them. Because as I started before this video ended, and I couldn't really talk too much about, this game is one of the easier games I've covered in a long time. It doesn't mean that there's not challenge there, and if you're having difficulty, it's not me trying to insult you in any way. Games are subjective, everybody struggles on different things, but for me personally, nothing killed me. And that's not because I'm a god of games, it's because the game is just not hard enough. I literally thought there was going to be a difficulty after this, and when I got to the end post-credits and it didn't unlock one, I was stunned. And once again, folks, I'm going to talk more about this later on, but we're out of time. That was the Campus Escape. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.